Happy New Year, everyone. It's Alyssa here with this week's What I Sold on Etsy video. It is my report on the last week of 2015 and what I sold on Etsy. It actually turned out to be a busier week than I thought it was going to be. I kind of expected things to slow down quite a bit now that Christmas was over, but I still had quite a few sales. Maybe not quite as many items, but some bigger sales. So I more than met my Etsy goal of $200. This week on Etsy, I sold $277 worth of stuff, and that was a total of 12 items. So I'm going to go ahead and show you each of the items and what they sold for. And keep in mind that price is just the selling price of the item, so it doesn't include any fees the buyer paid to have the item shipped to them, and also doesn't include any fees that I paid to Etsy. So without further ado, here's what I sold this week. The first thing I sold this week was a set of playing cards for $10. The maker on these was Heraclio, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Fournier or something like that. They were Spanish and they're pretty cool cards, as you can see. These are actually, the faces of the cards. Normally I do sell cards with pretty fancy illustrated backs. The backs on these were pretty plain, but the faces had these beautiful, colorful designs on them. And I don't remember where I picked these up. And then another game item I sold this week. This one is a vintage Tiddlywinks game. Pretty cool, pretty old, I'd say 1940s or maybe even a little bit earlier. Just a fun set. I picked this up at an auction in a box lot with some other old games. And then I sold this vintage scrapbook photo album. I sold it for $18. This was my first international sale of the week. I did have a couple others. And I think this came from an auction as well, but I'm not sure because I've had so many different scrapbooks and photo albums that I've sold and picked up. This was a vintage new old stock set of craft paper, brown paper, book covers, old school book covers. Now, in my day, we made book covers out of grocery store paper bags, but these are pre-cut, pre-made book covers. They each had different designs on them, kind of funny things, like that one says plain brown wrapper, that side. There were, I think, 4 book covers in the set. It was a sealed package. Anyway, I sold this for $7, picked it up at a thrift store. And this is a pretty pink Pyrex mixing bowl. It sold for $15. I've had this one for a while, so I can't even remember where I picked it up. Pyrex can be pretty valuable. They're most valuable, I say, if you can get a set of them. That they tend to be pretty popular, but they are hard to come by. Or even ones with a design on the outside, like I've sold some with polka dot designs that sell pretty quickly. This is a vintage chessboard. It's actually made of leather with a wood frame, wood base. It sold for $75. It did have a maker stamped on, I think it said Antonio. And this is something I picked up at a yard sale over the summer. Now what's funny is the next item that sold came from the same exact yard sale. This was months ago that I went to the sale, and then these items sold back to back to 2 different buyers. This sold for $7. I don't know if you can tell what it is. They're plastic, like miniature clothespins and like baker's twine there for holding Christmas cards. So vintage Christmas card, vintage Christmas item, a new old stock item. And then I sold this set of 4 small dishes or plates for $40. They have that kind of cool truck design. The artist on it, I guess it was the artist, was Marimekko Oi. These were made by Faltzgraph, but what's funny is they were made for Delta Airlines, and from the research I did, I believe these were used for serving children's meals aboard an airplane. I saw some different designs when I was researching these. I did not see any that looked exactly like these, but this was kind of cool because it was a set of 4. I didn't see too many sets when I was researching them. And this was my second international order of the week. This was actually going to Japan, which is interesting because I'm thinking that the name of the artist sounded like a Japanese name, so they might be familiar with that artist. Anyway, pretty cool find from a rummage sale. And then I sold this tray for $40 as well. The maker on this was K-Met, and it's hard to tell from the picture. This is a metal tray. It's a gold-colored metal that has like a textured pattern to it. And this is something that I picked up at an auction in a box lot wasn't buying the box lot for this tray. Didn't even know if it was worth anything, but when I started researching K-Met trays, they were going for a decent amount of money online. And this, though, is something I've had a while. I've had it over a year, I believe. And this is another item I've had a long time. I really love this when I picked it up. It sold for $28. I think I originally had it priced higher. I might have started at like $35 on it and come down in price. But I just thought it was so cool. It's the Smurfs. It's a Smurf alarm clock, so probably from like the 1980s, in working condition, old school wind-up alarm clock. And I don't know, it just didn't move. I really thought this would sell. It was just such a cool looking item. I don't even remember where I picked it up, honestly. But this was my third international order of the week, and this was going to France. And I sold a vintage postcard this week. This one is from Canal Street in New Orleans. It sold for $6. This is a linen postcard with this pretty cool nighttime street scene. You see some of the old cars in it, which I love those street scenes. And this one is blank on the reverse. It was unused condition, a little bit worn around the edges, but overall pretty nice postcard. And then the final item I sold this week was this miniature copper pot. You can't tell in the picture, but this is very small. Maybe maybe holds a whole like cup of liquid or flour or whatever. What's interesting about this is I picked it up at an auction with some other very similar copper pots with handles. Those ones were all marked, you know, with different measurements. They were measuring cups. And the maker on those, I forget now, it was a Korean company. They were made in Korea. And then there was this one that was actually different, and this one was made in France. And I actually kind of made a mistake and thought they were all made in France. And so I bid up a little for the auction. It worked out because the other set sold for quite a bit of money, and I sold this for $16, which is still, I think, more than I paid for the whole lot. So I did quite all right. But I was a little disappointed when I got home, and I was like, oh, this one was made in France, but the others are from like a completely different set. So that happens sometimes, but sometimes it works out too. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. I do put out these videos every week showing the different vintage items that I've sold in my Etsy shop, Planet Alissa. And then I try to get some other helpful videos out on selling online, selling on Etsy, as well as selling on Amazon. I have a video that I'm going to get uploaded soon and put out there, which is just a recap of 2015 for me in reselling. So an overview of, you know, not every item I sold, but money-wise, what I did in 2015, to give you a picture of, I don't know, what my year looks like. This was the year that I made the switch to selling full-time online, and not for the whole year, but most of the year. So, and most of that money does come from Amazon. I sell via Amazon FBA. So yeah, look for that video soon. And if you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below. And guys, again, Happy New Year. I hope your 2016 is awesome. I hope you had a fun time celebrating last night if you did. We had a pretty quiet night. It's kind of funny. My boyfriend, not that this was funny, he has some health issues, and this past couple of weeks, his sleep schedule's been really messed up, and so he's been going to bed probably around like 7, 8 at night. So there was no way he was going to be able to stay up to midnight to, you know, see the ball drop in Times Square, which is our time zone. So what we decided to do is we went on Periscope. I don't broadcast on Periscope, but maybe one day I will. But we went to go see if there's anyone live in England, you know, because they're a little bit ahead of us time-wise. And so at 7 p.m. we found some guy in Wales who was actually just filming his television set, which at first I thought was kind of lame, but we ended up seeing a really cool fireworks show in London. And, you know, so we celebrated New Year at 7 p.m. here, but midnight there. So technology is pretty cool. Anyway, hope you guys have a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon. Happy selling, everyone!